place feels bigger. I don't know. This place feels pretty big here
It's
right
funny
now.
because I was like, oh man, it feels a little smaller.
It feels big. It feels weird. It feels good.
Good.
To be sitting here with you, Mr. Fernandez, on this very special Rule of Two here. My friend, thank you for having me.
Oh man, thank you for coming and doing this very special episode. In all full transparency, you and I have been already chatting about this thing that we're about to talk about,
Right.
Which is pretty exciting. Okay, but before we do that, I want to say a few things, guys. Every Monday at 3. Okay,
3:30.
3:30.
Yeah.
I'm tuned in. I've been in the chat.
Yep.
If you guys are watching, you know that I'm in the chat chatting, and I'm listening to Reilly's Cantina.
Thank you,
which
man.
is Mark Reilly's new Star Wars podcast that comes out every Monday.
Every Monday, Reilly's Cantina. I'm going to have a guest. We pop some wine and we talk Star Wars.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
And it works.
And it works. And it's not going to be really news based. It's going to be more conversational, like kind of stealing a little bit of the Rule of Two flavor, but just talking about what we love about Star Wars and seeing where it goes, and probably getting drunk on wine. And because why not?
And like people keep asking, like, oh, is Rule of Two coming back now? So look, it's not. Okay,
Yeah.
We're doing this very, very special episode, and Reilly and I have talked. Maybe when Obi-Wan comes around,
Sure.
Maybe we'll pick it up for the Obi-Wan stuff.
Yeah, maybe we can do a review of the series or something.
Maybe you'll have me on your show.
Of course. I would love that. You like wine?
Well, first of all, white wine.
White wine? You're a white wine guy.
Red wine gives me like a bad headache.
Yeah, I got to change that, man, because I'm a red wine drinker. But white wine I do every once in a while, so I can find a nice bottle. I go to my my corner liquor store, which is All More Liquor, and they're aware of what I'm doing now, and they're like, what? Thank you. 65 years we've been here. I go and I pick a nice bottle. And you find folks that have already been tuning in on my YouTube channel. They make a donation, and I buy that wine for the guest that day.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's really fun.
So look, let me bring up one quick thing about Obi-Wan. I know that there's this rumor out there that Obi-Wan is canceled.
Heard that.
So we've been on the phones all morning talking about this and trying to get some answers. And our sources are actually telling us that it's not.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. No, like Disney has not made any official statement on it, and I don't think they will.
Yeah.
I think this is just some rumor that erupted. Star Wars, like in Jurassic Park, always finds a way to get into the headlines.
Yeah.
But
Star Wars, man.
Yeah.
Something about it.
So as far as we know,
why would they?
Yeah.
Why would they? After all of this time, and poor Ewan McGregor sitting at home being fielded every question in the world. Are you doing Obi-Wan? And he's like, listen, I'm actually doing Fargo right now. I'd like to talk about that. And they're like, no, Obi-Wan. It's just over and over and over again. And then finally that big swell, groundswell of support for Ewan coming out and saying, yes, I'm doing it finally. I mean, unless something horribly went wrong. I think right now.
God, I'd be so bummed out, especially because we were talking about coming back Rule of Two for the Obi-Wan series.
It's just the one that fans really want, and if anything, if that were to not work as a series for whatever reason, then they have to make it a movie. This is something the fans want.
And look, you and I were kind of riffing. Maybe it's the Taika movie, but look, as far as we know, there is no truth to the rumor. Obi-Wan is still flowing. It's still going.
Great.
Okay, so look. I'd say we just hop into it. Do it one last time. Here.
One last time for the cheap seats in the back.
Yeah.
This is Rule of Two.
Rise.
So, Fernandez, set the stage for us, would you? What the hell are we doing here? And how and why?
Dude,
what?
I have had the best Star Wars week of my life, man. I can't tell you how much fun I've been having with this thing. So, look, we can't, this is as much as we're going to say. Okay? I've read it.
Yeah.
And I've read it again.
Yeah.
And then I read it again.
Mm-hmm.
And then I read it one more time.
My God.
And on the way here, I was reading my favorite scenes. Okay? That's all I can say.
I've read it once. Wow. I'm sort of speechless because I've been able to read it. It's one of those. I spoke about it on Reilly's Cantina. This is I cannot in any way compare this to Rise of Skywalker. This is for me, it's a script report. It's it's a story that exists right now. You can say comics, you could say books, you can say canon, you can say non-canon. This is like a completely separate thing. I can never in a million years compare this to Rise of Skywalker. I can only take this at face value as a movie that was written well before the dated draft I saw. This happened before Carrie Fisher passed away.
About 2 weeks before.
About 2 weeks before. Yeah. Obviously before Trevorrow left the project, before The Last Jedi came out. So there was the discourse was not there at this point. So this movie, with all those factors in there, Carrie Fisher would have losing Carrie was that's the end of this script.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, it requires a complete overhaul. I don't know what they could have done. Either recast Princess Leia or General Leia or do the Tarkin thing, which I don't think anybody wanted to do. So there's that to consider. There's the Last Jedi fallout to consider in the development process. Because I'm looking at this as a writer and a development guy.
So if I could cut in for 1 second.
Please.
So the script, I'm pretty sure I'm going to look really quick. Yes, it's actually a really interesting date, almost like an ominous date that I think will live in Star Wars lore for many years to come. The script is dated December 16th of 2016.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure exactly when Carrie Fisher passed and left us, but I know that it was during the holidays because I remember having a very sad Christmas.
Yeah. I remember crying. I remember writing a huge kind of, here's what Carrie Fisher meant to me, not only as princess, but writer.
Yeah.
Somebody that just really was a part of my kind of creative awakening.
Just an inspiration and the humor and her approach to dealing with controversy and dealing with criticism and just never losing the ability to stick to her guns.
Yeah.
And be that princess that we all needed. So I think she passed away maybe 2 weeks.
December 27th, 2016,
wow.
She passed.
Wow, so 11 days.
11 days.
11 days after this draft was submitted. Now, to me, this draft is the most unique piece of Star Wars lore. Let's call it lore, okay, because it's not canon, obviously, right?
No,
but it's the most unique piece of Star Wars lore I've ever read because it's not a comic.
Right.
Okay? It's not like you said, it's not a novel. It's not fan fiction. This was actually, we all know now because Mark Hamill was very public about it. This was read by Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill publicly said that he loved this take on Luke that Colin Trevorrow had done. We know for a fact that it was read by Daisy Ridley, who famously has said that she cried when she read it. For the record, there was one scene in this script where I cried. And I know you guys have seen me cry on here before, but I teared up. It was very emotional. Some scenes in this script.
It's an emotional script. I will say this as a writer, as a trying to be a writer, I cower in the shadow of Trevorrow. This script is beautiful. It's one of the best.
Really good.
It's one of the best scripts I think I've read, and I read a lot of them just for my own kind of education, knowledge, whatever, what have you.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful script. This Trevorrow and his co-writer Derek Connolly, they love Star Wars.
Yeah.
And you can tell. And they picked up the pieces not only from Force Awakens, but The Last Jedi.
Look,
they went directly from The Last Jedi, and then they tied the saga together. There are echoes of Empire Strikes Back, Revenge of the Sith, Return of the Jedi. There are echoes all over. There are callbacks. There are wonderful little Easter eggs all over this thing. It is done by two people that love Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I can see it in this.
Yeah, and you make a great point because for me, when I was reading this thing, I was very aware of what's the connective tissue, the directly like the correlated tissue between The Last Jedi and the Duel of the Fates.
Right.
And it's very interesting the things that are direct crossovers, right? So there isn't a ton of mention about the Force Skype that we've all, even though it is discussed,
it's there.
It's not a big part of the story, but.
Right.
It's discussed in that one very emotional scene between Finn and Rey when Finn asks her, "Are you still being haunted?"
Yeah,
and she's like, "Yes." So it's there. Luke is still dead.
Luke is still dead.
Luke is still dead.
He is very much a part of this story, though.
Yes.
A lot more than his story in Rise of Skywalker.
Snoke is dead.
Snoke's gone.
Yeah. Now, here's to me, and like, look, first we're going to give some high-level thoughts, then we'll go nitty-gritty through the story. But to me, the two biggest surprises that I did not expect to like with this script, I'll be honest, is number one, Rose steals the show with her comic relief.
She's phenomenal.
I mean,
the character Rose Tico in this is phenomenal.
I mean, she is the Han Solo of this script.
She opens the movie.
Right.
She opens the movie with a freaking great spy kind of operation that not only introduces Rose and BB-8, but then it also opens up all of the main players backing her up in this big coordinated resistance movement in order to steal a Star Destroyer. Ultimately, that's where they're going with this. And it just feels that the echoes to Return of the Jedi are absolutely on purpose. It is a little tiny adventure in the beginning of the movie. People in disguise, all these different things that I just was smiling from ear to ear. My Star Wars ever-loving heart was just going, oh, yeah, man, this is some good stuff.
I love that one line. I'm trying to find the exact line, but, you know, I'll paraphrase
Find it. How about I set the stage real quick?
Set the stage.
Reading the crawl, I found interesting. The crawl is out there. People have heard this, but the iron grip of the First Order has spread to the farthest reaches of the galaxy. Only a few scattered planets remain unoccupied. Traitorous acts are punishable by death. Determined to suffocate the growing unrest, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren has silenced all communication between neighboring systems. Led by General Leia Organa, the Resistance has planned a secret mission to prevent their annihilation and forge a path to freedom. I love the path for freedom. Yeah. It's kind of something that's repeated throughout towards the end of the script as well. So we'll get there. Wanted to set that stage right there because then, if you can picture it, we are in the vacuum of space per usual Star Wars goodness. Yeah. But this time we kind of pull back and we enter a Star Destroyer and our mission is underway. Yeah. BB-8 is there and Rose is there and the adventure is onwards. And
it's it reminds me a lot. It's funny because Jurassic World, which everybody who listens to Rule of Two knows that I'm a big fan of.
Same, man. I have no idea why.
So I do have a little Colin Trevorrow bias because I absolutely love Jurassic World.
Well, I've never seen Book of Henry, so that takes me out of that conversation. Safety Not Guaranteed is one of the most original and clever and wonderful movies I've seen, and that's what put him on the map. And then Jurassic World I thought was just so much. What do you want? It's dinosaurs eating people.
It's so much fun.
And it's so much fun.
It's so much fun.
Jurassic World's garbage.
I think my favorite part about Jurassic World was that the Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard interaction reminds me of Han Solo and Leia.
Yeah,
you know they have that dynamic.
Going for, I think.
And man, the opening of this script reminds me so much of Indiana Jones.
Yeah, a little bit of there. Yeah,
like that trope of like let's throw you deep into an action scene. You know, into this amazing caper. You know that they're pulling off, and the first thing you see is this graphite painted droid who you eventually realize is BB-8.
Yeah, BB-8 is just doing a spy mission here. Yeah, and it's so freaking rad.
And it's so freaking rad. And then you see this really tense moment where, because unlike Rise of Skywalker, the thing that I really loved about this script is that it truly starts with where you've left the current two films, as in the Resistance is basically dwindled down to nothing.
Yep.
The First Order has truly gained the power that it has always sought. Yep. And it's in complete control, and they're kind of hurting all of these like immigrants and refugees into these concentration camps.
Right.
Okay. And then you see our two heroes, Finn and Poe, in disguise, having to get completely armed because they're there to do a bust out.
Yeah, they're getting ready to break some MFers out, right? And they're going through, and BB-8 and Rose cut the power basically so they can get through security.
Yeah, get through the security gate.
It's such a great. It's almost like, because I see Return of the Jedi here.
Okay,
this opening rescue, so to speak, the rescue of the refugees, really. But it's like if we dropped into the middle of Jabba's palace with Lando and Leia as Bausch in there. It almost feels like we got rid of some exposition, but it's like, to your point of Indiana Jones, right in the middle of the action, which I love.
Yeah, in medias res, right in the middle of things. And our two heroes, it gets very close and very tense, but they do successfully pass through the armored gate. There's even a scene where right before they get there, some alien, his horns set off the alarm.
Yeah.
And the stormtroopers kill the alien right in front of them. And Finn says, if it doesn't work, or Poe says, if it doesn't work, we'll know.
Yeah.
And after this, person dies. And then throughout this entire time, you're seeing this ominous Tusken Raider in the background.
This is for me the Lando pulling down the thing, but we don't know it's who it is yet.
Yeah. So we see this ominous Tusken Raider in the background. They successfully get through the security gate, and fast forward a little bit, and there she comes. Okay, in the Tusken Raider disguise. Unknown to even Poe and Finn. Poe and Finn don't know that she's there. And here you see the Tusken Raider bust out a double-bladed lightsaber that is a technological amalgam of her staff and Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber. Now, to me, this told me, and she just tears through 15 people to get to them.
And then this is what I love. People are with the refugees with reverence. They're like, Jedi, Jedi. It's almost like this is the myth, right? The myth of Luke Skywalker lit a fire in the galaxy, gets Rey over to Ahch-To, who then Luke, the beacon of hope at the end of Last Jedi, puts out the myth of Luke Skywalker taking on the First Order all the way to Broom Boy, who they're playing at the end of Last Jedi. Then the myth is now fully realized. It really worked for me when everybody says Jedi, Jedi, because now the Jedi are back.
Yeah.
They're back in the galaxy. It's not a myth anymore. And there's one dressed as a Tusken Raider. And it's just fantastic.
That's a great point. And when you said that, it just reminded me that when they see the Jedi, that all the immigrants, all these folks being herded into these concentration camps are there's the Jedi.
There's the hope.
There's the hope.
There it is. Yeah. And that's what I mean, when you told me about this, I had to read this from a writing point of view, because it's just it's so rich with just collaboration between movies.
Yeah.
That's something we've talked about a lot on Rule of Two, and that I think the broader Star Wars audience talks about right now. We're never talking about story anymore.
Right.
We're not talking about space wizards anymore. We're talking about development struggles and fired directors always.
Right.
And that's
and drama.
And drama, and that's what's really annoying to me.
Right.
And part of the job, I guess, but that's why I'm that's why I had to come and read this.
Yeah, and then not that this isn't a great enough opening, because it absolutely is, and as I was reading it the second time, the third time, the first time, I could hear the I could see her with the double-bladed lightsaber, and then really focusing on the choreography, the choreography of that, and then just with one image, it connects to the Last Jedi of the split of Anakin Skywalker's saber and its new reality that the pieces of that lightsaber power her own lightsaber. So she's made her own lightsaber. The Tusken Raider garb drops on her, and she's dressed, as they say in the script, in full black battle-ready
Jedi wear.
Armor.
The black. What a wonderful callback to Luke.
Right.
It is a
good
direct reference to Return of the Jedi, Luke showing up wearing black.
Yeah.
And it's in the script for me striking, because Rey has only been seen in light colors.
Yeah.
And so much like Luke. So that the echo is there again. Again, a very, very wonderful move by the writers to give reverence to the past.
Yeah.
And then for me, having the remnants of Anakin's lightsaber a part of this new contraption for Rey is saying that the past is handed off to the new generation. And we have these pieces built on what we know, which is the Skywalker saga, and the Skywalker blade has now created something new. Like rising from the ashes of the Empire was the First Order. Rising from the ashes of the Jedi, here comes Rey. And I love that thinking behind it.
And then we're introduced to, what else I thought it was great, to your point, is that the people start throwing rocks at the stormtroopers to try to give their part to help the Last Jedi.
The spark of hope right here, man.
Right.
And it's like getting an army going, and there's that. For me, again, it was like Endor with the Ewoks throwing their sticks and rocks.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because it's obviously ridiculous, but every bit helps.
Right.
Right. And then we're introduced to Admiral Vaughn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is a character that I was not in, as far as I know, is not the same one from Rise of Skywalker played.
Pride, yeah.
Oh, right. So totally different. But Admiral Vaughn is like, what the hell's going on down there?
Yeah.
And
just another, First Order guy.
Yeah.
Which, makes sense. It's a big army.
It's a big army.
So we get a new guy.
And some officer is like, the Last Jedi is with them, sir. And for me, when I read that, I was like, oh, it's like, you're finally paying off the mythology. It's almost like seeing Anakin Skywalker in Revenge of the Sith with his full-on Jedi mullet. That things are starting to mature.
Yeah.
And all your critiques of Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones are starting to sort of fade away because the vision is starting to crystallize itself in its intended picture.
Right.
And that she's being referred to now as the Last Jedi. And then, one of I think a classic scene.
Yeah.
Which is the hijacking, the stealing of a Star Destroyer.
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible. It felt due time that the good guys take over this thing.
Yeah.
We've seen it in Star Wars before. Chewie and the Ewoks taking over the Walker on Endor. I love that stuff. Stealing the shuttle Tidarian. Let's go all in. Let's steal the Star Destroyer. It's a wonderful moment for me.
Yeah. So all this adventure happens, and they eventually. And Admiral Vaughn, I think it's a very important thing because this to me was the Darth Maul moment of the script. And again, this script is very good. In my opinion.
Yeah.
Now, granted, we're directing it ourselves, right? So we're reading it and we're visualizing it.
Yeah.
And it has that idyllic, preservation in our imagination, right?
Right.
But you have Admiral Vaughn say, "Call the Knights of Ren."
I love that. Gave me chills.
Yeah.
And the Knife 9, which is the ship that it's called.
Yeah, which is actually. We reported this about maybe 6-7 months ago, maybe close to a year ago, that Knife 9 is actually the ship at Galaxy's Edge.
Ah, okay.
So
interesting.
There's a ship at Galaxy.
Oh, Trevorrow said that. That's right. He said, "Yeah, I have a ship that I created in the." Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So Knife 9 is actually the ship that you don't see in any of the movies.
Right.
But it's at Galaxy's Edge, and it's the one that Kylo comes out of in the show. I haven't been to Galaxy's Edge, but so
Me neither.
I hear.
Yeah.
That's Knife 9. So you have Knife 9. You have the Knights of Ren.
And they all have names.
And they all have names.
And they talk.
And they talk.
Yep. And
they have personality.
They have personality. They have wonderful moments, each one of them. And they have.
Yeah, so.
Come on.
Do we jump? Yeah, so, okay, so.
It happens in this scene.
Yeah. So when Knife 9 arrives to talk to Admiral Vaughn, the leader of the Knights of Ren, I'm going to get this name wrong probably. His name is Hataska.
Hataska Ren.
Followed
by Ott Ren, Laurel Ren, Jadik Ren.
Yes. Hataska Ren has the Darksaber. And when I saw this dude in my in my mind's eye, obviously, pull out the Darksaber and cut down Admiral Vaughn for being an incompetent.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I'm back, man.
It was great.
It's like that awesome tacular skit we did with Jeremy Johns and Ken Knapsack where, George Lucas is back. I was like, this is it, dude.
It's Star Wars. I mean, it feels very Star Wars to me, and I loved it. I love this moment, and then they get so It's revealed then after this. You might know it better than me now because you've been reading this thing over and over again, and I don't blame you. I would love to read this again.
Yeah.
But it is introduced, at least in my notes, and I don't know if I'm jumping ahead. Let me know.
Sure.
Coruscant. Coruscant is back.
Yeah.
And I love that we have Coruscant in this movie.
Yeah. And look, we'll get all into Coruscant, but so after Hataska Ren cuts down Admiral Vaughn, you have, I think, one of the coolest uses. One of my big critiques of The Force Awakens was always how Rey was very easily could use Force or Jedi mind tricks to like influence the stormtroopers. Nobody had ever taught her that.
Right.
So there were some holes for me there.
Sure. Sure.
But in this movie, when they eventually get, and it's a great action sequence, they eventually get to the deck, to the bridge of the Star Destroyer, which I believe is called the Eclipse.
Yeah, the Eclipse.
Yeah, in the script, and it has a light armament of people on it, and Poe says, "Who's in charge?" And the bridge officer says, "I am." And Poe's like, I can fly anything, so he's trying to figure out how to fly this thing. And Rey, I think it's a great little touch. Rey is like, we don't have time for you to figure out how to fly this thing.
Just basically
Take
Jedi
us-
mind tricks that.
Yeah,
And
take us to the blah 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 system, and then the entire crew is like, set course for the blah 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 system, And I thought that was like a kind of a fulfilling way of using the Jedi mind trick.
Yeah. It just shows Rey too that she's because we're going to figure this out. She has been training.
Yeah,
and we know by who. And that's where it also deviates a little bit from Rise of Skywalker. But keep going because we get the Star Destroyer. They get taken care about.
There's one more little scene that I think is really cool in the sort of this opening set piece that's combined with the concentration camp and the stealing of the Star Destroyer, which is that everybody's on board the Star Destroyer with the exception of BB-8.
Right.
Okay.
This is a great move by
And BB-8 jettisons himself from the ship that he's on
into space,
and guns.
It floats across into the Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
It's so great.
I mean, like, you can see these things visually as like building action, building those applause moments, and like giving you those Star Wars feels, and I thought it was great.
And there's a great line in there that the First Order says, which is like, it's Skywalker that they believe in.
Right.
This is why they're doing it. And this last Jedi, this apprentice is nothing. And they're using her as a symbol of hope. That was, I thought, a great line that the bad guys are saying on the outside, right? They're like, this last Jedi, whatever, it's Luke, and like it's Skywalker who they believe in, not this. We rule by fear. So I thought it was a great juxtaposition of the bad guys knowing and saying, but fear is going to snuff all that out. That's what the First Order is.
Yeah, and then like you said, where we go after that is that it contextualizes Coruscant,
Yeah.
And
we see that it's like they're building things on top of the old structures.
Yeah, that it's a much more decrepit, worn down Coruscant, and we're introduced to a new character, a child named I'm from Dade County, so I call him Dade, but it could be
Dade, right?
It could be Dottie or something. But we're introduced to this child, and we're introduced to the kind of the people. Like the people that are ultimately being oppressed by the First Order and this new political structure and stuff like that. And then, to me, this is one of my favorite parts of this opening, because you always talked about this, is I want to know a little bit more about the political structure that actually controls the First Order.
Right.
And now we're introduced to Chancellor Hux, okay? At this Monument Square, and talking about how this conspirator is charged with treason and all this stuff.
Right. Time to kill him. This is set up in the crawl that traitorous acts are punishable by death.
Yeah.
First Order ain't having none of it.
And Biskova was the traitor. We didn't mention that, but Biskova was an alien that was helping them break into the concentration camp.
Right, which is kind of very similar to Rise of Skywalker.
Right,
the opening, there is a spy that is helping him, and so we're following. So in the script, I should say, just an aside, you realize why Colin Trevorrow got story by credit. for Rise of Skywalker. I think because there was we talked a little bit about it off air.
Yeah.
The litigation that the Writers Guild does, it was probably a very, very long and painstaking process. But they did give it to him, and then Colin Trevorrow obviously is giving his proceeds from Rise of Skywalker and that story by credit to charity because that's awesome. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. It's absolutely awesome, and then you also get this really interesting insight into the warlords that are truly behind almost the bankroll of the First Order. And for the first time, you start to see the political uneasiness of the First Order asking, why is this woman still alive? Why is the Jedi still alive? Why are these things happen? Why haven't we taken full control? Questioning Hux. Where the hell is Kylo Ren?
That's when is it that when the Skywalker line comes in? It's Luke Skywalker they believe in. This apprentice is nothing. It's fear that will get him.
Right.
I feel like that's the moment it came in.
Yeah.
Oh, so what a great opening.
Yeah, and then we like I said, we get this scene with this new character, Lord Gurlig, who sounds like a mean SOB. Who's just doesn't want wants Hux and Kylo to do what they're supposed to do, which is take control of the galaxy. You know, and their control is close, but it's still a little bit tenuous.
Yeah, and it really does just set up the state of the galaxy, the state of the resistance. Our heroes are still working their butts off to get to turn the tides of the war. But when are you ready to move to the next scene? Because this is the one.
But just to put a button on what you said, Jor Nult is the character.
Okay.
And the line is, it's Skywalker they believe in. Mm-hmm. Not the law.
Not the law.
Okay.
Right.
And his apprentice, this girl, this Jedi, has become a symbol of hope.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's the exposition. You know why I think I love this script so much relative to the other two is that I always felt that the other two didn't give you a ton of deeper understanding into the state of Star Wars. You had these lasers shoot 5 planets down. You didn't know what planets they were. Like it didn't give you any real context to this stuff. And it seemed like with this third script, Colin Trevorrow was really trying to let you in on details that you can nerd out about for years to come, names, planets, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, well, he did pull in, more recognizable planets from the saga, obviously with Coruscant. But then, it's a good point, but then we go to Mustafar, and here we are again.
Yeah.
It's Mustafar, and not like we got in Rise of Skywalker where we learned that after there was no kind of graphic.
You told me it was Mustafar. I didn't even know it was Mustafar.
Right? And that was just somebody. The internet told me. So it's like, but here we're on Mustafar and we're also walking in Vader's castle because there's Kylo Ren searching for answers still. So very similar in Rise of Skywalker, looking for certain, but they call it a holocron here.
Yeah, which is what it is, right?
It is a holocron.
Which is what it was in Rise of Skywalker, too, not the Wayfinder.
The Wayfinder is a holocron in my mind, but they call it holocron here. And, this is my favorite. This is what you even told me when you called me when you got your hands on this thing and were like, dude, Luke Skywalker haunting Kylo Ren.
Oh, yeah. You called that.
This is the thing I wanted. The moment the credits rolled on The Last Jedi, see you around, kid, right?
Yeah.
I went, oh, yeah.
You knew it.
That's going to be great, right?
Yeah, you called it the whole way.
And sure enough, Luke is haunting Kylo Ren. The voice, the Jiminy Cricket in his ear going, this is not the path. This is not where it leads to you. Look what happened to my father.
Right.
And Kylo Ren snapping at him.
This is where the path leads you to an empty tomb.
An empty tomb, right? And,
right.
And Kylo
Which
Ren,
is good foreshadowing now that I think about it, knowing what the end is.
It's very true.
Yeah.
And so it's just a very wonderful moment for me. Get some really good Luke Skywalker action in there. I can see it visually in my head. I think that what the writers are doing here is really just creating a very creepy atmosphere, and that Luke is somewhere there, very, very reminiscent of. What am I trying to say? When Obi-Wan is appearing on Hoth, just kind of in the snow, just kind of there but not there. I
it's
love
all
that
in
visual.
voiceover.
All in voice.
Yeah.
Voiceover. It's just very, very. It's a haunting scene by a Jedi. It really made me happy.
And
it's
Kylo's
really good.
Kylo's clapping back. Kylo's like, look what it's done to you. You're just a damn ghost.
Oh yeah. He goes, look where it led to you, dude.
Yeah.
You're a ghost. You can't do anything.
Right.
And Luke's like, I'm more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Right.
He's basically saying that.
Yes, very well said, because that's exactly what happens. Like, Kylo is like, don't rag on me, dude. Like, yeah, empty tomb, but what the hell are you? You're just a damn ghost.
You're a ghost, and Luke's just kind of has probably a bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Okay, so what happens now?
He gets the holocron.
Yeah.
And he gets a message from something I found interesting.
I thought it was very interesting.
Tor Valum.
So what happens is that when he lifts up the holocron, a encoded holographic message
from Emperor
from Emperor Palpatine.
Here's where the Emperor Palpatine connection comes in.
Right, because it's just it's a vision from the past. It makes perfect sense.
And I really liked it because for me it ties in Battlefront 2 video game and some of the novels. Some of the canon novels, the contingency plan that the Emperor put in place is in this message, and this message is for Vader. And Vader and the Emperor is basically saying, now that you got Skywalker from Return of the Jedi, if an unforeseen thing happens and I am killed, you need to take Skywalker here.
Yeah.
To Tor Valum.
To teach him a very, very specific thing.
Yeah.
A very specific thing that Tor Valum knows how to do that we need to teach Luke. Now, the Sith holocron begins to realize
it's not Vader. That message isn't for you, dude. And it F's him up.
It F's him up. It shoots lightning into his eyes.
Yeah.
And then something that I've been wanting to see in this franchise, like so badly, since we got it in KOTOR so well done, and in SOTOR, Star Wars: The Old Republic MMO, is the Force corruption that begins to overwhelm Kylo Ren's face.
Yeah,
with all of the veins coming all over the place, I mean,
it's a great visual thing, and then I love that it hurts him so bad that Leia wakes up. Right. Feels the disturbance in the
Leia
Force.
Is so good in this movie.
Leia is the heart of this script.
She is the heart of the script.
And I think that, a lot of people, to the people that say, there wasn't a plan, it sure looks that way sometimes. But then I tell you something.
That's a very good point.
Then I tell you something. Han Solo's movie was Force Awakens, Luke was The Last Jedi, and this was Leia's. That was kind of designed by probably Lucasfilm, and that was their goal, at least.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how much communication. Again, wish I was a fly on the wall, but I'm not. But this feels like it's Leia's movie.
So to take a time out here, if you look at it that way, okay, and say, hey, we do have a plan. We have, Han's movie, we have Luke's movie, we have Leia's movie. Now, 2 weeks after or 11 days after you submit a really good, clean draft. This is a clean draft.
See, that's the thing.
I didn't find a grammatical error in here.
This is one of the most striking things for me, how done it was. Now, this is my question, because this is a book report and not a comparison to Rise of Skywalker.
Sure.
It is, where was it in the development process? Is this a first draft, a second draft, a third draft? Is it Trevorrow's fifth draft before he shows Lucasfilm? You know what I mean? Because internally, as a writer, you do this, I do this. We're not giving that script over to studio or otherwise on that first draft.
This is a final draft.
Who knows what it is?
It's super clean.
Well, Last Jedi wasn't even coming out until a year later. So right now they're in post on Last Jedi. So
but he's obviously read the script because there's direct crossover.
Oh, yeah. No. Colin Trevorrow obviously spoke to Rian Johnson and read the script and know exactly what was going on with that movie.
Even from a thematic perspective, right? Because
thematic across the board.
Even some of those Last Jedi themes are really resolved and given a little bit of like shape in this movie.
It's given so much. I mean, it pays it off.
Yeah.
This is a direct sequel to The Last Jedi, which I love.
Okay, so yeah, Leia wakes up. Ben,
we're on the Eclipse now, I think, because she's the Resistance took over the Star Destroyer, so they're making base over there. I think isn't that where Leia ended up?
Yeah, they take the Eclipse to God. I love some of the stuff that's about to happen.
Yeah,
they take the Eclipse to a planet called Korolev. I think.
Yeah, I didn't write down that one, so I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine.
Right. So. Boom, 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 boom. They get to Korolev. They have this massive ship. Last we leave Kylo, he's screaming in the ultimate pain.
Yeah.
Which that's where the Revenge of the Sith stuff starts coming in for me, because in Revenge of the Sith, for me, the most painful part about it is really those last few scenes where Anakin is completely destroyed, and every time I watch Anakin burning in the lava, it kills me. And you start getting that complete destruction of Kylo very early on in this movie.
It just occurred to me when you said that.
Yeah.
This is a closeout to the saga, and what we have going on here is Duel of the Fates, the title of this thing, which is perfect for this.
It's a great title.
You have Ben Solo, Kylo Ren kind of running parallel echo to Anakin Skywalker in Revenge of the Sith, as you have Rey running parallel with Luke Skywalker in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
There is a very clear distinction between the two, and the echoes therein, for me at least, are really resonating with me.
Yeah.
Is that, to your point, when you said that, I went, whoa, you're right. He's doing Anakin right now.
Yeah.
He's already fallen to the dark side, obviously. But as Anakin did and wanted and realized when he was talking to Padme at one point in Revenge of the Sith, I can bring order to my new galaxy. And then Obi-Wan's like, what? Wait a minute.
Right.
Your
new empire.
Your new empire. You're talking Sith here, man.
Right.
So he's searching. He is going, we're talking about searching and getting this holocron and looking for things. He is searching for ultimate power.
Right.
Unlimited power.
And Hux knows this. Like, Hux keeps asking him, did you find the power?
Yeah.
But, okay, so I love this setup right here. Okay, so the Eclipse is over this planet called Korolev. I think that's what it's called.
Sure.
Chewie comes running into some moment of exposition that Finn is having with Leia and Rose. And again, Rose is great in this movie. And he starts screaming, and they're like, what's up? And he takes them to a weaponry arsenal inside of
the
Star Destroyer.
Yep.
That is vast. I mean, we're talking enough firepower to take on the First Order.
Yep.
And to me, that was like, wow, that's great. Okay, so now you've secured weaponry. You know?
Yeah, this small band of resistance fighters finally got some had a good day. Let's just say that.
And the kind of maybe it's because it was all in my head that I just love this, but then, everybody starts saying, well, who's going to actually man this stuff? Like, it's only 100 of us. Like who's going to man this stuff? And we don't have people. And Rey says, well, maybe we do.
Yep. Reveal the Jedi ancient texts.
God, finally that pays off.
She opens it up, and she realizes there's Old Republic technology underneath the Jedi Temple.
Can I jump in there for a second?
Yeah.
Because Kylo Ren has created a communications blockade through the galaxy, so that the planets cannot communicate with each other.
Right.
And this Old Republic technology hidden inside the Jedi Temple can overcome that blockade.
Right. The old technology basically winning out over the new technology, i.e. a little force action, i.e. a little turn off your targeting computer and
it's the
use
Jedi
the
Temple.
Force. It's the Jedi Temple. So, the comparison is there. It's underneath. They're going to have to go to Coruscant.
Right.
And this is what I love. This is so Star Wars-y to me. It's am I jumping ahead here? I want to make sure I'm not. But there's a nice scene when they're basically the Star Wars plan. They did it in Phantom Menace. They did it in Return of the Jedi and in New Hope. But this is here are the holograms. Here's the mission. This is what we're going to do. We're going to go to the Jedi Temple. We're going to find this device. It's old tech. We're going to beam a message and get everybody to join us.
Yeah.
And that's good Star Wars right there.
God, that's where actually one of my favorite lines between Rose and Finn. Leia goes, all right, this is a great plan, and she loves watching Poe kind of lead that little strategy discussion. And Finn is like, great, I'll lead the army on the ground.
Yep.
And then Rose jumps in and says, I'll really lead the army on the ground and let Finn think he's doing it.
Great line.
And like Rose, I gotta tell you, I didn't love Rose in The Last Jedi. I've made that very clear in all my Last Jedi discussions.
Sure.
The humor that she's written with in this movie is incredibly charming.
Yeah.
Incredibly charming.
It's a great line, too, to come up behind Finn and say, I'll lead him. Because Leia gives a look.
Yeah.
Like, oh, and then, yeah. So, getting back to it.
Yeah. So then after they concoct this plan, we have the first time that Luke speaks to Rey inside the Jedi dojo. But yeah, take it away.
Right. So the Jedi dojo happens and Rey is training. And the difference here with Rise of Skywalker, which I loved actually in Rise of Skywalker, is Leia trains Rey, which I think is a beautiful moment in all of the Rise of Skywalker. Here, Luke is training her from the other realm. So
your pain
already
is an illusion.
Yep, your pain is an illusion.
Yeah.
Like there is some fantastic Force stuff.
Yeah.
Conjures to mind your Yodas on Dagobah with Luke. Conjures to mind some Obi-Wan on the ship with in New Hope with Luke. Conjures to mind some stuff that from the prequel. There's a lot of things peppered here. But Luke being not only a Force ghost and training Rey, but also haunting Kylo Ren is exactly what I wanted.
God, it's great.
When
you
we
called
lost.
that.
I tried.
For months you were saying that.
It was just what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I just was picking up the pieces as did these two writers here who picked up the pieces from Last Jedi.
Which is why Duel of the Fates is such an appropriate title.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have these two incredibly powerful, Force-sensitive beings that have different fates that are bound to be completely intertwined. In the Rise of Skywalker, they label it as the dyad in the Force or whatever.
Right.
There's never any mention of dyads in this script, but that's what they're also trying to say, that there's this.
This script is about balance.
Right.
This
it truly is about balance.
About balance.
Yeah.
And that's what I felt was the most powerful message here, and what I thought brought the saga in. Was the balance of the Force, which is a number of rumors we even heard. Like the title's going to be Balance of the Force. It's going to be Duel of the Fates. It's going to be.
We heard Duel of the Fates, right?
I think Duel of Fates was on there.
Was out there, yeah. But then we cut to another scene very reminiscent of Revenge of the Sith of Kylo Ren at the operating table. With the Ugnaughts.
And this is a nice touch coming up here.
Yeah, with the Ugnaughts putting metal on Kylo's face.
Dude, it's Mandalorian armor, metal.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
They were melting down Mandalorian armor like we see in the series, Mandalorian, and putting it on his face to cauterize the wounds.
Yes.
It's a phenomenal kind of tie to all of this.
Yeah. And then you see Rey feels the pain on her face.
This is where the Last Jedi connection works for me.
Yeah.
This is where it is.
Yeah.
She feels what's going on with Kylo Ren. That Skype thing is still there.
Yeah, I hear Christian Harloff's words. I hear your words. Wait until the third movie to make up your mind about the first two.
Right.
And when you read this, what I consider to be a very beautiful, inspiring work of art, it makes you look at the other two and say, oh, okay.
I mean, sure.
Because
there's a lot in here that really connects not only Force Awakens and Last Jedi, but Saga. And that's what I appreciate.
And it doesn't try to retcon or dismiss the prequels and the original trilogy in any weird way, like we do with the Emperor, because let's face it, that does put Anakin's journey into question. I mean, there's nothing
bringing the Emperor back. I said it on our review. It's my biggest problem with Rise of Skywalker is the Emperor being back. This for me, I enjoy because it's done away with that. There's a new villain, and really the villain is Kylo Ren. Full stop. He is 100% the villain of this movie, and redemption. TBD, man. When we're here with Kylo Ren, redemption, we'll get there.
Yeah.
Whether or not he's redeemed this is the story right now. And we have characters basically saying, like your Leia's and your Luke's, telling Rey, no, he's far gone.
Yeah.
He's not coming back.
And so upcoming in this medical bay pain dojo scene, we get our first fight between two lightsaber wielders, and it all happens in a vision between Rey and Kylo Ren.
Yeah, she has a vision of two thrones.
Yeah.
And her fighting and her getting struck down. She is in her vision.
Similar to Rise of Skywalker to some degree.
Yep, very similar. And she has the vision that she is struck down by Kylo Ren and she takes off the blindfold.
Right. Oh, man, I didn't even realize that. It's another little...
Didn't even realize that. You're right. I know. Just as you said it and I saw it in my mind. Yep.
Wow.
So Rey takes off the blindfold because she's doing the thing with Luke and yeah.
And Luke is like, what did you see?
Mm-hmm.
You know? And she says that she sees a mountain, that she sees Kylo, and she sees two thrones. And Luke tells her this is the future that you're seeing.
Much like Luke seeing the future of his friend suffering on Dagobah. And there was the echo for me.
And Luke, this is what I kind of found interesting. Luke was like, well, where is it? Luke doesn't know, and she knows.
Yeah.
And then the words are uttered. And then to me, it's a validating thing because it's a George Lucas known component that he wanted in these sequel movies, which is the planet of Mortis, the astral plane, and the original birth of the Force.
Right. This is like basically this is the Big Bang. This is where the galaxy started. This is where he's going with this. Mortis is the cradle of everything, life, the galaxy, and the Force as we know it, and the two thrones are the light and the dark.
Yes.
And that's good, man. I dig that.
Yeah, and then Luke is telling her, in this Temple of Mortis, underneath the temple, in the well, or whatever you want to call it, is the power of the Force, of the Jedi. It's like the epicenter of all the power.
Right. It's like if we get that power, we don't need armies.
Right. But he's also telling her, but look, if Kylo gets that power, we're in big trouble.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And then she's like, well, what do you mean? You want me to kill Leia's son? I'm not going to do that. You know, which is like, again, echoes to Return of the Jedi, right?
I can't kill my own father. Then the Emperor has already won. You were our only hope. I can't kill Leia's son. Well, then they won.
Yeah, and then Luke says, and I'm paraphrasing here a little bit, the Force guides us towards balance. It doesn't always show us what we want to see,
right?
But it involuntarily guides us towards balance. And then Rey is very dismissive, I think, in an interesting way, that, balance, bullshit. Like it's always dark kills light, then light kills dark, and it goes over and over and over again in a vicious cycle, which to me is the one interesting point that you can point back at Darth Vader and say, it wasn't really balance. It was just the light, the momentary moment of light that penetrated Darth Vader into becoming Anakin again.
Right.
That suffocated the dark of the Emperor.
I love that. Yeah.
But then what was left was the light of Luke. And just like our friend Freddie Prinze Jr. says, the light of Luke was unbalanced and the dark comes in.
Yep.
To suffocate the light, and the vicious cycle continues. And this is a very important line for me in the script, because this is where the script tells you that this is going, that ultimately the saga ends with a true balancing of the light and the dark.
Right. It's that's what we said a few minutes ago. This is a movie about balance, and it's about all the things we've learned about the Jedi and the Sith from the prequels on. This movie is like basically commenting on all of that, and has a very, very mythological, very satisfying kind of thing happening here. And I love that Luke says that, and I love that there's that echo of Vader and fighting Vader and fighting Ben and all these kind of great stuff. So where do we go next?
So look, we're in 53 minutes, and we're barely out of the first act.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we're past the first act. So. A little bit.
I'm sorry, guys. It's just like...
It's really good. I mean, we'll do some brushstrokes here.
Yeah.
But then I love this. So if I go down to my notes...
Yeah.
I love that Poe and Rey are starting a relationship.
So this is my one critique on the script.
Yeah, I love it.
You like it?
Oh yeah. I think it was needed.
So talk about it.
I think it's like, sure, it was kind of, brushed over. There wasn't a lot going on with Rey and a romance and all that. And some people said at the end of The Last Jedi when Poe goes Rey and they meet, some people go, oh, that, and I did too. Oh, that's the relationship that we might get. And sure enough, we're having it here. And there's a slowly but surely through the adventures of Rey, Finn, and Poe, Poe and Rey are starting to fall in love. I do like it. It has a very Indiana Marion kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
And it also just feels fun. And Poe even says it like, oh, yeah, I get it. No attachment. So what is happening here with some of when she's talking to Leia, when she's talking to Luke, is that Rey is going back to this like, I can't be attached to him. I can't fall in love with him. Because
Rey tells Leia that. And Leia's like, don't be, you're not subject to the rules of men that were born 1,000 years ago.
She's like, who says that? The guy you've never met thousands of years ago? It's like directly going up against what we learned in the prequels. A Jedi will feel no love and no attachment, which is what led to Anakin falling to the dark side, right? So here we are.
Which Kylo acknowledges very, very powerfully throughout the script. He's like, he learns that his grandfather's ultimate downfall was his love and his fear of loss.
Because now we're here. Kylo basically becomes Vader with all this new stuff on his face, from the Mandalorian armor all the way down to putting a mask on with a different breathing, right? Because he's so damaged that you almost hear this breathing coming that's described as guttural and a little bit lower. And so he's now, for me, I was like, oh, the new Vader is here.
Yes.
Like, he's always wanted to be Vader, and now he's got it.
Right, because now he's truly needs...
He needs to breathe. He needs...
Oh, right. He has a...
Yeah. Because that
he has his own breath thing.
That holocron effed him up.
Yeah.
So now he needs all the mechanics in order to survive, hence his journey being complete. And he gets these ancient Sith texts, and he's learning all these things from it.
And he gets a new mask that we don't... It's not really described what the new mask looks like.
Yeah, we don't know if it's maybe it's a version of his Kylo Ren mask. It's in a version of what we see in Last Skywalker, in Rise of Skywalker, the red. But
or a version of the visual dictionary of half, some flesh under it and stuff like that. But he does have to breathe through it. And in the script, it says that the breath, that it's very low, very guttural, and different from Darth Vader's breath.
Right. So I love that we have like Luke and Rey talking, and Rey is the dialogue with the Force is awesome, but it's like basically the balance. The light is suffocated by the dark. To your point, when one rises up, the darkness is going out there to suffocate it.
Yep.
And then we have on the other end, Kylo is finding which I thought was a nice balance here. Again, balance being a big thing of this is that he's finding ancient Sith stuff and has to go find out what it is on Mortis.
Yeah.
And he goes to not Mortis, but he goes to what's the Sith guy?
Tor Valum.
Tor Valum goes in there. Are you like?
He asks him, when
are you Plagueis?
Right, because there's a scene right before that where Kylo and Hux are like going back and forth, and Hux is like, "Do you have the power yet?" And Kylo's like, "Not yet, but it's soon." And he's like, oh, Supreme Chancellor. Like, look, I don't need all that crap of Supreme Chancellor. The power is like the power of destroying planets is insignificant.
That's the line I love.
That I'm going after. But yes, he makes it to Tor Valum, and Tor Valum is an alien figure, very thin, like spindly, like he's got this weird. In my mind, he's like this, like
and
spidery almost.
Spidery, and it did conjure to mind, for me at least, some of the concept and what we did see with Emperor Palpatine in Rise of Skywalker, that him connected to things, and I don't know if that's what they were going off of, but I see a little bit of creative handoffs from maybe that design over to what we saw with the Emperor, at least in the darkness and the weird decrepitness of the character.
And before he flies off to Tor Valum, it is important to note that in his chamber in Coruscant, which I thought was very fitting, he gets the Darth Vader mask.
Right.
and says, now I understand why you failed, and I'm going to succeed where you failed.
Yeah,
and
you used your heart, dude.
Right. You had a heart. I don't have a heart.
Yeah.
And he throws this thing out the window.
Finally becoming more powerful than Vader, I think. I think he finally, it's a very metaphorical kind of way to look at it. He's casting off the chains from the past. He's killing the past finally.
Yeah.
He's finally not holding on to it anymore. He gets new information, and he basically says, this is where you failed, grandfather.
Look,
I'm not doing that.
And that's a great point because it's also very similar to his message to Rey, let the past die. That he himself,
that's what I got from it.
That he himself didn't fully embrace.
Sometimes we give the best advice to our friends, but we got to take our own advice, right?
Amen.
So he is saying he basically went, let the past die in The Last Jedi to get Rey to join him, and then he realized here, Vader used his heart, the light stepped out of the darkness for a little bit, and this is what happened. And then to Kylo, and you failed. You failed, Vader. So, I'm taking this over now.
Another cool thing that I liked is that we are introduced to Kylo Ren's drone. He's got his own little droid.
Yeah, right. That's right.
VX-20 that he communicates with, he talks to, and stuff like that. And he tells him, set a course for Remnacor. Remnacor is the name of the planet.
Remnacor, right, to go see Torvalum. And that's where he's going to get some information about what to do. He's going to learn from him. This is my problem with it because I think a lot of people in the fandom probably would feel the same way. It's like, where was this guy? You know, we love to describe and go in deep on these villains.
Right.
Where was Snoke? Snoke, too. Really not, you know.
He's mentioned once or twice in this entire script.
Yeah, but there's no, like, where he came from. There's no nothing.
No.
And I think that's interesting.
There is a really cool bit of exposition that you get about how Snoke relates to Rey that I thought was actually really, really cool.
Right.
That comes a little bit later. But
a little bit later. But yeah, so he goes, he learns. Kylo Ren asks, like, how, why. He brings up Plagueis.
Right. He directly says, are you Darth Plagueis?
Right. And I love he's like, that name means nothing.
The name means nothing to me.
I think what he's going for here is that this is Plagueis. And that...
You think it is Plagueis?
I think it is Plagueis, and I think that he's so powerful in the dark side that he's basically doing this thing. I am no name. I am darkness. That's what it gave to me.
Interesting.
I think it can be construed as he's Darth Plagueis because of that line and him not answering it. He said that name means nothing to me. And
he's like, I'm no master.
I'm no master. It's just like I am everywhere. I am darkness.
Right.
That name means nothing to me. So I don't know. That's just me taking it as this, is that this was Plagueis.
Yeah, and then Kylo is pretty much like, teach me.
Yep.
Teach me this power.
Teach me this power.
Because in the planet you see all these dead animals and these like...
Oh, they go back Old Republic here. This is Sith army.
Right.
This is Sith army against Jedi, and they are in armor, old armor. It felt very much Lord of the Rings, where Aragorn's going into the tomb and they see all the... the fallen bodies, and they realize it's a trap. It feels very... There's some Lord of the Rings stuff in here as well that I love.
Especially the big scene.
Yes, and we'll get there.
Yeah.
So I love, too, there's some moments here.
And, look, as the nice, echo of that scene, again, it's called Duel of the Fates. So you have these two Force users on this trajectory to this ultimate fate that they both have that's intertwined with each other. And on the light side, you have Rey, Finn, and Leia having some of the most beautiful moments. And basically, Leia telling Rey that she's not like her father, that or my brother. You're new, whatever happens.
This is you. This is on you.
The Force chose you.
Right.
You're not related to me. You're not a Skywalker. You're not one of us. But that's irrelevant because the Force chose you.
Right. And I love that.
Yeah.
And I love, too, the where is it? Leia's talking about balance and stuff, and we're starting to get into this moment where it's like Rey realizes her mission and what she needs to do, and I got a definite Return of the Jedi vibe of Luke Skywalker saying, I'm endangering the mission, I shouldn't have come. Rey is basically saying the same thing. As we go to Coruscant to go put the plan in action, Rey is like, I can't come with you. They're going to sense me. It's like, I will endanger the mission. And they're like, no, you need to come. We need you kind of stuff. And she's like, I can't. And then I love Poe saying, like, I get it. No attachment. It's fine. There's a lot of really wonderful moments in these dialogues between all our heroes. Yeah, feels very Star Wars.
It's good, but like it's almost like maybe as I was reading it, I got a little jealous because like first she's down with Finn, and then her and Finn have a little vibe. And then she's down with Kylo, and her and Kylo have a vibe. And now she's down with Poe, and her and Poe have a vibe. I was like, hey, pick one.
Hey, Rey's playing the market, man. Come on, give Rey her time. She's been on Jakku for many years.
Look, Rey's story isn't written by anyone else, right?
Exactly.
And that's I think a very powerful thing with her.
And I love that this is where they do separate into going into the different areas to enact the plan. And Rey and Finn separate.
You nailed it.
This I loved. Rey basically on the ship with Poe and Chewie as they fight over position on who's. I love the Chewie and Poe thing where it's like, who's the co-pilot here? And Poe's like, oh, it's you. Sorry, it's you.
Yeah. Because Rey's like, that's my ship. Poe's like, I'm the pilot.
And then
Chewie's like, yeah,
and he's like, you're right, it's you, Chewie. But she says, or Finn looks up to them flying away and says, good luck, Rey.
But just to remind everybody, at this point, what happens is that Hux and the First Order fleet enter orbit over Korolev, the planet that they're on.
Right. That's right.
And Hux is like, destroy this planet. Mm-hmm. So as they're fighting and destroying the planet,
they need to escape.
And then they split off into the Hawk, which is Finn and Rose, the Millennium Falcon, which is Chewie, Poe, and Rey,
and the Star Destroyer,
and the Eclipse, which is Leia and Connix and the rest of the crew, R2 and all that stuff.
And I love there's moments here. Leia feeling the Force as people are dying. Her people are dying is a beautiful moment. Finn says good luck to Rey as she's flying away, and Rey on the Falcon, show don't tell, literally goes, thanks, Finn. Like she heard him, showing us that Finn is Force sensitive. It's right there. And I love that. So, okay, where are we going next? What I love is there's something happening here where we enter an asteroid field because the First Order is blowing the planet apart.
Oh, yeah.
So all of a sudden we're in another echo from Empire Strikes Back. The Falcon threw asteroids, which are pieces of planet. And also a nice little callback to New Hope and Alderaan.
Right. And there's forest and frozen oceans. And then, they're flying through.
They're flying through all that with ties on their tail. It's a beautiful action piece. Then we have this. Plagueis is mentioned. I love this line. Tor Valum has to say, sever yourself from the past. The whole idea is to rule without armies.
Yeah.
To use the Force, the power of the Force. This is the ancient power that created the galaxy. That's really the new stuff that worked for me. It's the all-encompassing power that Kylo was searching.
Yeah, and I think it's important to also note that Tor Valum was very specifically teaching him the power of life drain.
Life drain, yes, which shows up in Rise of Skywalker.
In Rise of Skywalker.
So that is another carryover. But yeah, telling him the power of the life drain, which is essentially to heal yourself. So this was set up in the script here. To
suck the life force out of somebody else and have it empower you.
Right.
And that's what Tor Valum teaches Kylo.
Mm-hmm. And then Kylo pulls a very Sith move. Yeah, we go there. He kills him.
Yeah. Kylo uses that.
Uses that power, becomes even more powerful than Tor Valum, says, I don't need you anymore, and basically kills him, and I love that moment.
Yeah, me too.
It's a good moment.
It happened to me a little easy. Like, this guy's been alive for 9,000 years, trained Sidious.
This is my one critique of the script, truly, is that, where did he come from? I would have, Plagueis, sure, I'm getting that from him. But it's a very Sith move, and I think Kylo Ren would absolutely kill this MFer and get all the power and then move on as Supreme Leader.
It's a very Kylo move.
Yeah.
Right? He did it to Snoke.
He's doing it to this guy now.
Yeah.
So then we're getting to the plan, and we're pretty much into the whole crux of the movie here, and we're getting the 3 different battles. We're having a ground battle on Coruscant because the plan is they have to go get the ancient technology to light the beacon.
Yes.
To send all over the galaxy.
And Finn is pretty much in charge of that mission. Finn and Rose.
Yep, Finn and Rose in charge of that mission with Leia. Then we have Poe, Rey, and Chewie going towards Mortis. And then we have...
With Knife 9 chasing them down.
Yes, the Knights of Ren are on their tail.
Yeah.
And pretty much, yes, Rey and Chewie and Poe do fight the Knights of Ren. This action scene, the way it's written, is so awesome.
But before that happens, the reason, like the mission that Poe and Rey are on, is that Poe tells Rey that he knows a Force-sensitive female, a friend of his,
right,
who knows how to get to Mortis, who could help her get to Mortis. So Rey is going to take, Poe is going to take Rey to meet this woman, so that she can give her the map of how to get to Mortis.
Right.
You know? So again, a little similar to Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah,
with
there's actually now that we're talking about it out loud, there's a lot for me at least. There's some very, very distinct story points that I think is why the WGA gave.
Yeah, with two huge differences of the Emperor not being a factor,
right,
and Leia not being the central kind of anchor for the story.
Right. So then we should probably keep moving through this.
Yeah, let's do it.
They get to Coruscant. Rey gets to Rey. Okay, here's the thing that really sets it apart for me on like where it's time for Rey to go off on her own. They fight the Knights of Ren. Rey literally Palpatine's a guy in the face. Remember, she uses Force lightning. So again, we get that kind of connection in Rise of Skywalker, but for different reasons. Very, very different reasons.
Yeah.
In this one is that she unleashes her anger.
Yeah.
And there's the Force lightning, takes out a Knight of Ren, pretty much kills him because he gets it in the face, which I love.
Yeah. So she fights. So long story short, they go to this planet and this woman tells Rey how to get
to more good Force talk here.
Yeah,
because it's a Force-sensitive person.
Right. So again, it's like this duel of the fates. It's like the dark and the light. Like her and Kylo are on very similar trajectories, getting information on that's pointing them towards Mortis.
Right.
But eventually, the Knights of Ren do catch up with her, and there's an epic fight between Rey with her double-bladed lightsaber and Hataska Ren with his dark saber.
And Chewie's doing backup. Chewie's bowcasting the Knights of Ren.
Right.
And there's a scene that I absolutely love in this, the way it's written. He's shooting one of the Knights of Ren, and I can't remember if he's blocking with the dark saber or not. But Chewie basically then grabs this Knights of Ren, throws him up in the air, and shoots him out of the sky like a clay pigeon.
I remember that. So that was Jaden, I think, or somebody.
It's my favorite.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Chewie's a real superstar in this script.
Yeah.
So Hataska and Rey are fighting, and this Knight of Ren, who is the leader under Kylo, is overpowering Rey.
Yeah.
And then Rey starts to feel the dark side, feel the anger, and she embraces her anger.
She embraces it, yep.
And then she shoots lightning out of her hand into this guy's mask and fries him.
Yeah.
So it's very similar, kind of, to the way it is in Rise of Skywalker, but instead of a ship, it's a fight that she's about to lose. And the anger in her is so great that she embraces it and shoots lightning out of her hand and takes Hataska down.
Right. Now, I have in my notes here that Luke talking to Leia in Force Ghost about Ben gave me the chills.
Yeah.
I don't remember where it comes, but Luke has moments with Leia in Force Ghost. Luke's all over the place.
Luke's all over the script.
Luke is a main character in this script.
Yeah.
He is all over the place. He talks to Leia. He talks about Ben. Gave me the chills. This is why the Jedi live in isolation. The pain of loss leads to the dark side.
Yeah.
That is, I thought, a great call to all the Jedi that realized.
Oh God, it's my favorite line. I tweeted that line.
Yeah,
it's
because after the fall of the Republic, which is Revenge of the Sith, that's when the Jedi realize. I mean, because the dark side came out of nowhere. Yoda said it himself. Clouds everything. Their hubris that Luke says in The Last Jedi really got them. They didn't know Plagueis was Plagueis. They didn't know that Palpatine was doing what they were doing. So there's a lot of like little callbacks to here. So this line really made me go, ooh, like, wow.
Yeah.
That's a really cool thing to consider. Excuse me. So
yeah.
We have that line there.
And we can't forget one of the most epic moments in the script. There's so much in the script.
It's so much fun, yeah.
You know, so right before Kylo takes out Tor Valum, he sees a cave. like a force-sensitive cave in the distance. And Terrio says, go confront it.
Yep.
Okay?
And we have a little callback to like Dagobah, but this time Kylo takes on Darth Vader.
Kylo takes on Darth Vader in an epic, as it's written, it's an epic fight between two iconic villains.
He writes that.
Yep.
Yeah. This to me is the Vader at the end of Rogue One moment.
Yes.
This is the moment where fans are going to be on their feet.
I mean, this is like a fight between Vader and Kylo Ren. Like, let that sink in.
Yeah.
I mean, visually, how much fun it would have been to shoot that.
And think Dagobah. Think Luke fighting Vader on Dagobah. This is a vision. This is a test for the dark side.
Yeah.
And Kylo Ren loses.
Vader
cuts him down. He then goes, oh my God. And he looks. There's nothing on his chest. It was a vision to tell him everything. And that's when he ultimately, I think, after that kills Terrio.
Yeah.
Okay, so then
that anger that he faces after the defeat to Vader is kind of, I think, what it kind of triggers him, and he takes Terrio out.
Right, and then all this is happening here. I have more notes here. Rose is captured by Hux. We then go to Leia needs more help. She finds Lando. Lando is looking very Lando and
tells her no.
Yeah. This is what I'm doing here. Yeah. We fought. He basically tells Leia, "We fought in wars, and I know Han said for me to take care of you." And she's like, "I don't need anybody to take care of me."
Yeah. But before Rose is captured, because look, we don't have it totally written out, so we're just kind of remembering it.
Right. I've only read it once. I just have these little bullet point notes.
Yeah. So before Rose is captured, Rose and Finn break into the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. They light the beacon. Okay, and then one of the coolest scenes, I think, in the entire script, which is just like in Lord of the Rings, right? Like when they light the torch to call
the torches of Minas Tirith. We have our version in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
They light it. They get the beacon from the Jedi Temple, and it starts to light up all over the galaxy, and people start to see it. And it's Leia.
It's Leia
holograms all over the galaxy saying, "Join me."
Yeah, with this amazing speech.
Amazing speech. It's almost like "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope" times 10.
Right.
And it makes sense, and it's the callback to Minas Tirith. It's all over the galaxy. And
eventually it reaches Trandosha.
It reaches Trandosha.
And Bosk.
There's Bosk. You getting it? Bosk is like, huh? Yeah. So nice little callback here.
Yeah.
I love this stuff. It's a Coruscant uprising. We have the 3 different battles. Rey makes it to Mortis. Now she escapes.
Rose is captured
Yep. Rose is captured by Hux. Rey has her vision of being on the throne and Kylo beating her. Not being on the throne, but in front of the two.
Yeah, and
things.
Kylo, after Kylo kills Terrio and sees that there's something wrong. Right, because like I think he gets a message from Hux, or somehow he's alerted that the communications blockade has been breached by the Resistance. You get Kylo stopping the message in the galaxy.
Right.
Very similar. Even in the script, it addresses very similarly to how he stops the laser bolt.
Yeah.
In Force Awakens.
Nice touch.
So the message gets out, but it doesn't stay out. It gets out to a point.
It gets out to a point, which is a good, nice setup because we know it was people saw it, but. Right. So where are we now? It's like I'm in the middle of the final battle now.
Yeah. Look. We can basically
think Return of the Jedi. Ground battle, space battle, lightsaber battle.
Yeah. So before we get to the finale, right? So just to kind of cut through, there is one very important scene that I think we need to talk about that kind of concludes the love affair between Poe and Rey.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Which is. Rey knows after she finds out, after she kills the Knights of Ren, okay, and she finds out where Mortis is because the Force-sensitive woman gave her the direction. Interesting that Maz Kanata is nowhere to be seen in the script.
Maz Kanata nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, so,
I thought she could be Maz. This character feels like you could insert
this could have been
Maz
Kanata. This could have been Maz Kanata. It actually would have been a good payoff for her.
I think so.
But in any case. She knows that she's got to go do this Mortis thing on her own, and Poe can't come with her. And Poe's like, no, I'm coming with you.
Poe will not let her go.
Right.
Will not let her go. And so this is, I think, one of my favorite moments in the script is that she uses Jedi mind trick on him, and he fights it. And he's like, no, don't do that. Please, Rey, don't do it. Don't do it.
Right.
And then he Jedi mind tricked, and he's like, and he walks off with Chewie, but then like in a great bit of screenwriting. I mean, I gotta tell you, the screenwriting is off the charts on this thing. The craft.
Yeah.
He says, finally fighting back the Jedi mind trick and finding his sentience again.
Yeah.
He sees through the mind trick and waves to her.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Because he's already on the ship.
And Poe and Chewie are off.
And Poe and Chewie are off to join the Resistance and fighting the First Order. And she makes it to Mortis.
All right, so look. We're not going to do a scene-for-scene thing. There's other scene-for-scene things out there. We're just going to try to like finish out the core story and then just give our final little thoughts on it.
Let's get to the climax, yep.
So basically now you have Rose is captured by the First Order, and you have, I think, the best way that you could have dealt with Finn. That Finn underground discovers a refugee camp of immigrants, of oppressed people. He beats up on a stormtrooper and like becomes friends with him.
Right, reminds him. The guy goes, "Traitor, I recognize you."
Yeah.
And he says, "You need to come up with a name first and foremost." You know what I mean? So it's a nice callback to
So to him having a relationship with other stormtroopers.
Yeah.
But ultimately, for Finn becoming the true leader and the ground general of the Resistance.
Yep.
And he's the one that ultimately rallies the people that they need to arm the AT-ATs that they stole and like the guns that they have. And
so a very kind of similar thing that Rise did with getting some of the galaxy to come.
Sure.
And it's like, oh, they're all they don't have an army, and it's like it's the people that are attacking right now. Rise of Skywalker. I found it to be very similar here.
It's similar to that, but it's all inside Coruscant.
Yeah, again, on Coruscant. Which is awesome.
Yeah. It's all happening on Coruscant. Then you have the space battle where the Eclipse is coming in, like with Leia in the role of Admiral Akbar.
Yep.
Then you have
Chewie gets an X-wing somehow.
Yeah.
And he does a great trench run of sorts. It's a callback to Luke in the X-wing, and it's Chewie.
Yeah.
And a nice callback when Poe arrives.
Right.
You know, seeing Chewie just wreck shit with lasers everywhere.
Because there's this great little rivalry throughout the film of who's the one that should operate the Falcon.
Yep.
And eventually in this scene, Poe is the captain of the Falcon or the pilot of the Falcon, but you see Chewie in an X-Wing.
Yeah.
And then he's like kicking ass, and then Poe is like, "That's one hell of a pilot."
Nice callback to Force Awakens.
Call back to Force Awakens.
Yep. We finally get back to Mortis. This is all going on. Rey arrives.
Yeah. And Kylo arrives.
Huge lightsaber battle. He basically says you.
But before that, they have these crazy visions.
Yeah, that's right. They have visions that are like overwhelming to them.
Yeah. And Kylo has a vision of him and Han.
Right, that's the one I missed. Okay, so Kylo, has the vision of after he kills, and we learn that it was him that killed Rey's parents.
Yes.
And that basically
Snoke wanted all Force-sensitive children with the potential to dethrone him destroyed.
Right.
And he sent Kylo out to hunt down the Force-sensitive children, and Rey was one of them.
Rey was one of them, but she was able to get over to Jakku.
And he knew that he let her live.
That's the what girl.
What girl, yeah.
In Force Awakens.
It pays off the what girl.
Pays off very, very well for me. So then they have that vision. We have a great moment where Kylo Ren, after he destroys the Jedi Temple, he goes to a cabin in the woods, essentially, where Han Solo is.
By himself. So this is a memory.
So he's having a vision memory of Han Solo after he destroyed everything, and Han Solo saying, "Oh God, you got to go to your mother. You got to go to your mother. Don't do this. Don't do this, Ben."
He's like, "My master knows that I'll be the most powerful," and like, he's like, "Your master? What the hell are you talking about?"
Right.
Like,
then the vision kind of shifts, and it's the moment on the catwalk when he kills Han Solo.
Right.
So there's that agony still eating away at him.
Yeah.
Rey has her own visions
of her parents dying.
All these things, and here we are, light and dark.
Yeah.
In Mortis.
Yeah.
And Kylo Ren basically wrecks Rey. She gets almost killed, and here's what I thought was beautiful.
Yeah, go ahead.
He slashes her face, and she's blind.
And she's completely
blind.
She
becomes blind. It's a very nice moment from when she was in the dojo. It's a foreshadowing moment where she had the blindfold on. So she's now blind. Really nice connection to Kanan and Rebels. That's not lost on me. I love that.
Yeah, me too.
So then Kylo Ren goes, and he goes to the well. It's time. He's going to get all the power, and nothing's there.
Nothing's there.
And that, to me, I looked at you and I went, that reminds me of The Alchemist, man. Yeah. The Alchemist is this, let's go on a great adventure. The treasure is out there. I'm going to go through this adventure. And I go, and there's nothing there.
Yeah, there's nothing there. And then what happens is that he gets pissed off, starts slicing up all of the statues, all this stuff.
And Luke shows up basically going, see?
Yeah.
I told you.
Yeah.
And Kylo tries to attack Force Ghost. More powerful than you can possibly imagine, Luke catches the blade.
Right.
In Force Ghost form.
Right.
Which was one of my favorite moments.
Yeah. And then similar to Rise of Skywalker, but I think making a little bit more sense, Rey, as she's destroyed, blind, bleeding on the ground, starts hearing Finn.
Yep.
Starts hearing Poe. Starts hearing her friends.
Her friends are calling to her.
Her family is her strength, right? Her newfound family. She rises,
and we're not, and it's not like she's getting power from them. She's literally using it to like, I'm gonna get up. I'm getting up. And that was a powerful moment for me.
Yeah, and then when Kylo sees this, he's a little intimidated by it.
Yeah,
and he's like, all right, enough of this crap. I'm gonna destroy this girl once and for all.
Yep.
And they have another epic lightsaber fight, her blind, him pissed off, and eventually...
he starts to Force drain her.
No, not yet. He loses his hand.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's nice little moment.
Kylo loses his hand, loses his saber hilt is destroyed, and then he realizes that he doesn't need the saber, remembers Tor Valum's teachings, and starts to use the life drain on her, and as he's using the life drain on her, she's completely powerless. And all of that Force corruption, all of that crap that was going on in his face starts to heal.
Yeah, he heals himself.
And he starts ripping the metal off his face. And you start seeing his face come back to normal, which I thought was super cool. And Rey is looking at him like, please stop, Ben. Reaches her hand out.
This is what I love. It's like it felt like Luke reaching for his father, right?
Right.
Father, please help me. And in this case, she's saying Ben. And so she's reaching through the dark side.
Yeah. And then, of course, similar to the Rise of Skywalker, Death Star scene, Ben is about to take... It's almost over.
He's about to snuff out her life.
Yeah, it's this close. And then...
Leia feels it. Calls across the galaxy with the Force.
And says, my son, I need you.
Yep.
We need you.
Yep. And... Kylo Ren, Ben peeks out. It's just this weird thing that I wonder how he's going to do it visually. But it's like Ben peeks out and takes Rey's hand, and they share the life force there. They collapse to the ground, and Kylo Ren kind of melts away, and Rey pretty much says, thank you, Ben.
Yeah, and like people that are saying that he's not redeemed, he's absolutely redeemed.
He got redeemed. Yeah. And it was goodbye, Ben.
Yeah.
He peeked out there at that last moment.
But the thing that I find fascinating about this scene is that like we were talking about at the top of the show, it's the balance of the light and the dark, right? And when you have him sucking the life or life draining her to the point of where she's about to die, Leia intervenes just like she does in Rise of Skywalker.
Right.
He chooses. This hand is almost like the dark side sucking her life away, right? The yin. And then her hand is extended. He switches and goes to shake her hand and takes her hand. Almost all that force that he had sucked into himself almost comes rushing back into her. And it creates, like the script says, like this swirling mass of light and dark flowing across each other, where it's like this convergence in the force of the light and the dark truly balancing itself out.
Right.
And the consequence of it is that they both fall to the ground. And then Ben's last words are Solana.
Solana.
And she's like, what? And he's like, Rey Solana.
That's your name.
That's your name.
Yep.
You know?
Not Palpatine. It's Rey Solana.
Yeah, it's Rey Solana.
And she was...
no one is no one.
Force. Yeah.
And she was someone, but she wasn't related to anybody.
Right.
She was her own thing.
She was her own thing, and the Force chose her.
Yeah. And then We're kind of leaving away the other stuff, but you can guess that the good guys win.
Good guys win. And one of my favorite lines is Hux realizes that they lost the Star Wars.
Right, and there's a great little Easter egg in that scene. But so Rey collapses, also dead essentially.
Yeah,
and she goes into the astral plane.
Yep.
And in the astral plane, she sees Luke, she sees Yoda,
and Obi-Wan
Kenobi. Which would have been great because we would have gotten Ewan again.
Ewan, Yoda, Mark Hamill, everybody would have been there.
Yeah.
And they basically say, you taught us something, that there can be balance.
Right.
That you can embrace not just the light side, but also the dark side and find that balance. And she says something very interesting. Our masters are wrong. I will not deny my anger, and I will not reject my love.
Right.
That's not denying anger, not embracing it, not letting it define you. And I will not reject my love and be away from attachment and be away. I will let myself love.
Yeah.
And those are the new ways of the Jedi.
It's kind of like a reformation.
It's a reformation of the religion.
Yeah.
It's to work for her, to work for the galaxy. And I thought that was the saga. That's a beautiful moment for me in this script.
And then you have Obi-Wan Kenobi saying, look, if you want, you can stay here with us, and your life will be one of knowledge and power and peace, or you can go back and your life will be one of loss and struggle and all this stuff.
I love it. Yeah.
And she says, I've decided, but you as the user or you as the reader don't know which way she decides.
Right. She says, I've decided. We cut to good guys won. Big celebration.
Yeah.
Everybody's having fun.
Hux commits harakiri.
Yep. Hux. Yep.
With
That's right.
Mace Windu's lightsaber.
That's right. I missed that.
Yeah, it's Mace Windu's lightsaber.
Oh, where did he get it? I missed that.
In Coruscant.
Yeah, that's right.
They found it on Coruscant. So Mace Windu's purple lightsaber ultimately ends Hux's life.
So no spy. He goes out just the dickhead that he is.
And they're about to lose the Star Wars. And Lando, just like in Rise of Skywalker, Lando does come in.
Lando shows up with reinforcements, a lot of reinforcements.
Yeah.
The tide turns. Very classic Star Wars, and the good guys win.
The good guys win.
And then we kind of get the epilogue, I would say. Chewie gets a medal here, but a real medal. It's not handed off of of like one of Han's or whatever. Yeah. But it was a ceremony, the heroes of the resistance. Chewie does get a medal, and then we do see later on it's Rey. She's back. And she's bringing a new bunch of Jedi. Broom Boy is there. All the new Jedi.
Yeah. Finn and the crew make basically a sanctuary using the Jedi texts to try to teach Force-sensitive kids the ways of the Force. Even though they're not Force-sensitive themselves, they're trying to do the best they can.
Right. And
the final scene is you see Rey in the distance walking closer to them, healed up to some degree, but still scarred.
Still scarred, yeah.
And that's kind of where the movie ends.
Yeah. It's a great script.
Yeah.
It's a great script. And I do see some of the chat saying it, some people don't like it, from based on what we're saying. Some people think Rise of Skywalker is better.
Yeah.
Some people think this is better. I think I would caution everybody that there is no way to compare this to Rise of Skywalker because this script would never make it just from as it is now to release. Not with what happened with The Last Jedi, not with what happened to Carrie Fisher. This is a snapshot of a moment that somehow made its way out here.
Yeah.
And so here we are reviewing it, and I think it's a fantastic Star Wars story.
It's a legend.
It's a legend.
It's a true Star Wars legend of a possible reality that could have tied up 7 and 8.
Yeah.
One that I think is in my headcanon what will always be my Episode 9, my Revenge of the Sith, when it comes to the sequels.
Sure.
I like how this script resolved a lot of the big plot holes that I didn't like about 7 and 8. 7, I didn't love how there was no context for the political structure of the galaxy.
We got a little bit more of it here.
We got a little bit more of it here with the introduction of the warlords. The whole concept of the Knights of Ren in 7 and 8 made no sense. In 9, it made even less sense. With the exception of the shrug and a few little moments, you never even see them. Here, you actually learn about Hataska, about Jaden, about the different Knights of Ren.
Ren.
Yeah, you can see that they're actually Force sensitive, can wield the lightsaber, have a friggin' freaking Darksaber.
Got the Darksaber somehow. Yeah, maybe that would have tied to Mandalorian sooner or later.
All that stuff with Finn that I was also so frustrated by, of him. Like I always wanted him to be the Jedi, right? Like Stormtrooper turns into a Jedi, that you got your story. But in this movie, he does become the true face of the ground army. He is the one that rallies the troops or the people. He's the true face of the revolution. Yeah. Rose becomes an incredible comic relief character, and I think the Han Solo of this script.
Many heroic moments.
But to me, the only reason I have accepted that this script could have never been made is the fact, and we glossed over it a little bit, we didn't get into too much detail on it, but Leia is at the heart of this script.
Yeah, we said that, and it would be near impossible to have Leia and Carrie Fisher do this with the footage of Force Awakens.
Yeah, because Leia lives throughout the entire script.
Yeah, she lives.
Yeah,
she lives. She's the one that hands out the medals, just like she did in New Hope. And so it's I wonder what this to me, which is why it's like I can never compare it to Rise of Skywalker. This to me is a fascinating snapshot of the development process of a huge studio like Disney and Lucasfilm, and of all things, a Star Wars movie. This to me is the most fascinating thing that we can look at as a snapshot, like I said, of just a particular moment. So when you consider the ramifications of Carrie Fisher passing away, this script changed. What would happen, in your opinion, Mark Fernandez, The Last Jedi comes out? Because I don't buy anybody that says this is going to be better and that if this is the movie we got, I would love it. I think there is definitely people that are not liking the direction of how Disney is going. Now let's say, and we're playing with Monopoly money here, that this script goes untouched and they recast Carrie Fisher. We get a different General Leia.
Yeah.
Okay? Sigourney Weaver is cast.
Sure.
We're going to play reverence and honor her as best we can, but this part was so needed in it, we're recasting, okay? It happens all the time in movies. Sigourney Weaver shows up. This movie comes out. I don't know what people would think.
I think it would have a Revenge of the Sith moment for two reasons, okay? I think, number one, Colin Trevorrow has proven that he is a perfect choice in the legacy of Spielberg and Lucas through the evidence that we have of Jurassic World. I think Jurassic World, whether you love the story or not, if you don't love Jurassic World, you just don't like Jurassic Park that much because it's dinosaurs killing people.
It's the same thing up the ante, though.
Right.
The park breaks down in the first movie, and years later, Jurassic World comes to full.
It's a much nicer park with cooler toys.
And another dinosaur breaks out. I mean, what do you want from your Jurassic World movies? I mean, it's like the dinosaurs are going to escape sooner or later, and they're going to eat you sooner or later, and then the good guys are going to win. It's not rocket science here.
But do you have a good hero? Do you have a good heroine?
These are action movies that take stereotypical kind of characters and kind of add their own flavor to it. You know, they're going to have your brash kind of guy in Chris Pratt that's going to save the day towards the end there. You're going to have the like kind of Humphrey Bogart, the Call kind of relationship with Bryce Dallas Howard, or Indiana Jones, Marion Ravenwood kind of thing, feel to it.
But what I love about this script is that it embraces its own identity. It's almost like the message of it, which is that you're not a friggin' Skywalker. You know, it's funny because Kylo is also told that by Luke, "You're no Skywalker."
It's one of my favorite lines. Luke says, "You're no Skywalker."
Yeah.
And ooh, burn, buddy.
Yeah,
take it. You're burned.
And Rey is like, "You're not me. You're not my father. You're not my brother. You're not my nephew. You know, you're not my son. You are you."
Yeah.
And the Force chose you, and embrace it. And I think Episode 9 embraces itself as its own thing without having to tinker too much with the legacies of episodes 1 through 6, which I think ultimately was Rise of Skywalker's biggest mistake was the villain. You know, like shoehorning the Emperor as the villain made no sense when Kylo Ren earned the right to be the villain by killing Snoke.
I agree with you there.
You know, and he is the master villain of this script. And yes, he is redeemed at the very end because ultimately his biggest weakness was the same weakness that his grandfather had. His love for his family is his hubris. That's his tragic flaw.
Yep.
Or his biggest strength.
he falls just like Vader did. That light peeked out. Ben Solo peeked out, and that was his undoing from at least the plane of this existence.
And he knew it was coming almost.
He did, and he made that choice right there thanks to his mother coming in there just like she did in Rise of Skywalker. I mean, this is like, this movie works for me as a Star Wars fan as much as Rise of Skywalker works for me as a Star Wars fan, because I came back around. We did our review after one viewing for me, and then I got to see it a number of times since then and have fallen in love with the moments that I love. But again, you guys know me. I like to do it from writing, and this is a very fascinating window into the development process because we have this script and we have Rise of Skywalker, and you can see all the development that went into it because of factors that were beyond even their control, which is Carrie Fisher more than anything.
Yeah,
and
I agree with that.
And I don't know where Colin Trevorrow landed in this development thing and why he walked away, because I don't think it's because of this script. I don't know.
We might never know that. We might never know that.
It's fascinating to see. I think that what it feels like for me is that The Last Jedi truly did cause the higher-ups, Lucasfilm and i.e. Bob Iger, to go, listen, we need to make sure that our audience loves our Star Wars, so let's make some changes to do that. And so that's why I think that there was a big shift. Why some people say, I still think that The Rise of Skywalker called back to The Last Jedi in beautiful ways. Especially my favorite stuff is Luke in there where he catches the lightsaber and he says, I was wrong. That is the payoff for me from Rise of Skywalker to Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Here, the payoff is Luke haunting Kylo Ren, Luke continuing the training of Rey. There's a lot of different things here. I don't know what it could be that got them to deviate, but I think a lot of it has to do with Carrie Fisher.
Yeah.
It really does have a lot to do with Carrie Fisher, I think, because she is all over this script. And rightly so. It's her movie.
Yeah, and look, I feel you. This script would have never been able to get made unless you recast Carrie Fisher. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like, not to be morbid, but it almost, passed with her, But as a diehard Star Wars fan, reading this script has given me a little sense of healing.
A little bit of closure for you?
A little bit of closure for me with the sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
Because the sequel trilogy ended in a way that I thought was extremely weak, and you know my opinion on that.
Yeah, I
didn't love 7, I didn't love 8, and I definitely didn't like 9. But this made me appreciate 9 made me appreciate 7 and 8 because I thought 7 and 8 looked a lot better in contrast to 9.
Yeah.
And this screenplay made me appreciate 7 and 8 even more because the narrative threads that were opened on 7 and 8 I thought were pretty much tied up in neat little bows in 9.
It's yeah. I mean, I wish I could. I wish I could say, yeah, this is so much better than blah 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 blah, and this ties this. I mean, I got some great callbacks and ties, closure in Rise of Skywalker, but I can see some of them being here. As a writer and somebody that really loves the behind-the-scenes process and the development of scripts, I see a lot of closure from the movies. I can see that. It's just interesting. For me, I'm stuck on why did we move away from this, other than the obvious of Carrie Fisher.
Yeah, we'll never know that. Look, we don't have insight into that. I don't understand why Colin was let go. I know a lot of people say that one movie he made, Book of Henry, was terrible, and that was one of the potential reasons. I find it difficult to believe that it was personal issues, given the fact that the producer of Jurassic World is Frank Marshall. Frank Marshall is married to Kathleen Kennedy.
Colin Trevorrow is directing Jurassic World 3.
Yeah, so I doubt it's personal strife, but for whatever reason, this story was never made. But I'm very glad that it's been read by me.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing this with me because it's a really good script.
Yeah, it's been read by you. I don't know if sharing is an appropriate term. It's been read.
I read it. Yes, I read it on your laptop,
or a laptop,
somewhere in the galaxy.
Yeah. So look, man, I give this movie a very positive review. It's never going to get made. But, maybe in 20 years there'll be animations of it. This will be legendary lore digging deep into this story. It's kind of out there. I don't know if the script is out there or not. I have no idea. I know I've read it. I have no idea if it's out there or not. But sooner or later, there will be interpretations of this tale, of this lore.
The way I kind of liken it to is like when they did the comic adaptation of George Lucas's The Star Wars, which is his original version before he started chopping it up and making the saga as we know it.
Sure.
So
and the novelization also before the movie came out.
The novelization, all that. So I think it is the best thing to do and to say about it is a snapshot of like, wow, what ifs, and it is a what if. And I talked about it on my channel yesterday when some people asked, like, could it work as a what if in comic form, novel form? And I went back to my favorite thing that I talk about with you all the time, which is Star Wars Infinities, when we have Luke Skywalker in a what if scenario dies at the hands of the Wampa, and it's Leia that takes over in that story.
Right.
This is a what if for me. This is like, wow, what if it changed? How could it change? Like, instead of The Last Jedi going this way and getting Rise of Skywalker, it went this way and we get Duel of Fates.
But it gave us it's part of our Star Wars soul a little bit.
Yeah. What really stands out to me is, one, I really, if you're hiring Colin Trevorrow, I would love to work with you because this is one of the great scripts that I've read.
It's such a good script.
It's very clear. It just has wonderful heart. It has wonderful reverence to the saga in general. It has such great love for the characters. And it just really goes, I know the story I want to tell from Star Wars in the 3rd chapter of a sequel that is the 9th episode of a saga. It has a lot of love to it, and that's what just stands out to me more than anything. And I will say that about Rise of Skywalker as well. There is a lot of love that went into it, but Rise of Skywalker, if I put on my development cap, it's definitely kind of a studio thing. It's like, listen, there's a lot of cooks in that kitchen because I think it all stemmed off of The Last Jedi, which I love. I'm going to die on that island with Luke Skywalker. the Last Jedi. You know me. I've never wavered on my Last Jedi love.
Og 2
I'm up there with Luke.
Yeah.
With all of the Last Jedi fans.
All the green milk and all that stuff.
I will suck on the tit of that alien, whatever it was.
So look, man, tune in to Reilly every Monday, 3:30, Reilly's Cantina, PST.
Yes.
Reilly, love doing this with you, man. It's special.
I appreciate you bringing me back for this as quote-unquote, a kind of goodbye to Rule of Two, and thank you. I wanted to be able to say thank you to the support, because when you brought this up, a lot of the fans were saying yes, and I saw it, and I heard you, and I thank you, and I thank you for giving me.
Yeah, look, we'll leave the door open, and we never know when Star Wars, like creeps its ugly head again, and we gotta dust off the lightsabers, and
I just hope we get to a place where we're celebrating again and not internally amongst the fans. No, I love this, I don't love this, you shouldn't love this, and you shouldn't love that. It's just, I miss talking about a Star Wars story, and though I know it feels weird doing it from this angle, it really was about a celebration of story in Star Wars. And I hope that, we can all come out on the other side just loving Star Wars and being okay. If you guys didn't like this story and you like Rise of Skywalker too, more power to you.
Yeah.
And vice versa. If you like this, well, good on you. And if you like Last Jedi, if you don't like it,
and if you hate them both, then hopefully you like The Mandalorian.
And you like The Mandalorian, there's so much good Star Wars to love. There's the Clone Wars Season 7 is coming up next month. There's so much out there. At the end of the day, I wanted to come back and talk Star Wars with you because I love Star Wars. And I loved talking Star Wars with you, and I appreciate you giving me that opportunity.
Yeah, look, and nobody knows like Leia, Leia tells Rey, like the story, the story's not over, and we write our own story.
We do write our own story.
So there is, the end is here for now, but in the future, you never know what kind of, we can come back and do it again, because it's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. So thank you for having me. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here on this Rule of Two episode. The door ain't closed. It's just a little, it's just you see a little crack of light there. I appreciate you. Thank you for all the people that did come over to my YouTube channel. So appreciative of your love and support. If you want to see me there, Reilly's Cantina, Monday, I'm having Emma Fife on. We're going to talk. We're going to have some wine, and we're going to, chill and talk Star Wars.
Yeah, look, and to that same point, thank you for all the fans that have continued to support Collider. That continue to support all the great people that work here, Perry, Jeff, Scott, everybody.
I want to echo that sentiment because I thought, if I could say something as your friend and former employee, though, I watched you take it. And I really appreciate everything you said. And I think that that's enough for all of you. I never took it offense. I never took offense as a business kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I went, yeah. And I'm now going on writing meetings, and I'm now doing my thing, and it's really fun. And I'm coming into the offices of Collider to work with you today because that's not going to be the last time either.
Right.
We want to write together. We want to produce together. And you guys do support the good people that are here at Collider that are going to continue to do what you guys do. And I'm a fan, and I will be there to back you up.
Thank you very much, brother.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. Well, look, may the Force be with you always.
And also with you, and to everybody that joined us here on Rule of Two. We'll see you soon.
Rise.